In the last 24 hours, Iranian officials declared that Israel is being warned against a new adventure in Lebanon. The reaction will be unpredictable. This warning came after Israeli officials made it clear there would be a harsh response to the Hezbollah missile strike on the village of Majdal Shams in the north, which resulted in the deaths of 12 Israeli children. Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs declared that Hezbollah has crossed all the red lines, and Israel's Security Cabinet authorized the Prime Minister of Israel and the Minister of Defense to decide on the matter and timing of the response to Hezbollah. For its part, Hezbollah is reportedly evacuating its fighters from positions in southern Lebanon and Syria that they know Israel might soon attack. Another player in this drama is Turkey, which has been heavily engaged in the civil war in Syria over the past several years. Turkish President Recep Erdogan issued a threat to invade Israel if it hits back hard at Hezbollah, drawing sharp criticism for Israeli officials and even some NATO heads of state. Meanwhile, the IDF is keeping up the pressure on Hamas in the Gaza Strip, advancing into the southern district and engaging in heavy battles with the terrorists of this organization. 3 Palestinians were also arrested while trying to cross the US-Mexico border on suspicion that they are operatives of Hamas. So let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is your Boots on the Ground report about what is happening in Israel on the 297th day of the war against Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, and all of its terrorist proxies in Yemen, Iraq, and Syria. The Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued another threat to Israel on Sunday morning, after the massacre in Majdal Shams prompted statements from senior Israeli officials who said that the response would be severe. The Iranian Foreign Ministry issued a statement that would warn Israel against a new adventure against Lebanon under the pretext of the incident in Majdal Shams. Israel bears the main responsibility for unexpected reactions to any stupid behavior it may commit. As previously reported, 12 Israeli children were murdered on Saturday evening when a rocket fired by the Iranian-backed Lebanese terrorist group Hezbollah struck a soccer field in the Druze village of Majdal Shams in the Golan Heights, in the north of Israel. Hezbollah appears to have been surprised that this rocket caused so much death and damage, and they're trying to deny the responsibility for it. The terrorist group, which has fired nearly 5,500 rockets, missiles, and UAVs into Israel over the past 9 months, issued an absurd statement that this one wasn't one of theirs, but rather an Israeli Iron Dome rocket that went off course. The Iron Dome rockets are meant to defend Israel from incoming projectiles. I don't know if they actually expected anyone to take this seriously, but I'm sure that no one did. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cut short his trip to the United States and arrived back in Israel on Sunday afternoon, going straight from the airport to the Kiryat, the IDF headquarters inside Tel Aviv. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, along with IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi and the heads of the National Security Agency, the Mossad, the Shin Bet, the Military Secretary of the Prime Minister, and other senior intelligence and security officials also participated in this meeting. All day Sunday and into Monday morning, reports came in of Hezbollah's anxiety and tension. Here are a few reasons that they're so worried about. The massacre of the children in Majdal Shams intensely transformed the strategic situation on Israel's northern border. It has already become an important landmark in the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, and some say a sharp turn in the situation. 12 innocent children were murdered in cold blood by a cruel organization that operates from within the civilian population of Lebanon to target the civilian population of Israel. The launch of the Falak 1 missile, which carried an explosive warhead weighing 50 kilograms, is not accidental and was not done by mistake. Hezbollah targeted the area of Majdal Shams and the settlements of Neve Ativ and the surrounding bases, and this is not the first time that they have done this. Hezbollah's denials are intended to prevent friction within Lebanon between the organization and the Lebanese Druze population because the murdered are all Druze. The organization knows that the Druze community has a concept called keeping the brothers, which is a commandment of mutual guarantee and support in times of need, and it doesn't matter where those brothers are. This is why they're trying to deny that the missile that they fired is responsible for the killing of 12 Jewish children and putting out this absurd fairy tale that an Israeli missile was responsible. They are already at war with Israel, and they don't want to have another war with the Jewish community inside Lebanon and Syria. However, Israel's response to this atrocity has already been decided with targets selected. The only question remaining is about the timing of the Israeli operation. The discussions on Sunday, which lasted nearly 4 hours, led to the ratification of the plans by the senior political and military echelon. A senior security official said that this is a limited but significant goal. At the same time, it was announced that the cabinet authorized Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant to choose the method of response and when. Israel has a wide range of options to choose from, including strikes on high-ranking Hezbollah officials, strategic targets such as depots where precision-guided weapons are stored, and more. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said yesterday that the United States stands by Israel's right to defend itself against terrorist attacks. For its part, Hezbollah is panicking. Reports out of southern Lebanon and Syria indicate that several positions that they believe are likely to be targeted by Israel have been evacuated in the last 24 hours. Hezbollah is on high alert all over the country, even as the IDF continues to hit them almost every hour of the day and night. Speaking of all hours of the day and night, the TBN Instagram channels sends out real-time updates on the situation here in Israel around the clock. So if you want to receive daily updates at any hour, sign up for our Instagram channel to receive these updates with news and information on Israel wherever you live in the world. Switching our focus to the battle against Hamas, I must begin by making a clear statement of clarification. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and one of their instruments of terror is psychological warfare, which is based on lies, fake news, and disinformation. You should never take any statement that they make at face value. An example of their fake news came this week in a Hamas statement at the British news portal Telegraph, saying that they have sent Israeli Minister of National Security Itamar Ben-Gvir a video of Israeli hostages being tortured in Hamas tunnels running underneath the Gaza Strip. They said that they did this in order to put pressure on Ben-Gvir to ease the conditions for Palestinian security prisoners in Israeli jails. Apparently, this video is real, as Hamas showed it to the Telegraph reporters, but it was not released publicly, and Ben-Gvir is denying that it was ever sent to him. The IDF and the Shin Bet are also saying that they are unaware of this video being sent to Ben-Gvir. In addition to this, it is standard policy that all intelligence information regarding the hostages is sent to the office of the Prime Minister and Defense Minister, regardless of its source. Switching our focus to rhetoric events inside the Gaza Strip, in the last 24 hours, the IDF launched an extensive operation in East El Burij and East Deir el-Balach, the refugee camps in the center of the Gaza Strip. The operation took place on the basis of accurate intelligence information from Amman and the Shin Bet against many terror infrastructures and tunnels that are located a few kilometers from the border with Israel. At the same time, the 162nd and 99th Divisions continue to operate in the south and center of the Gaza Strip. The Air Force laid the groundwork for this operation by launching strikes on terrorist military compounds, warehouses, and underground infrastructures, and more. Following and parallel to the air activity, soldiers of the 7th Brigade Combat Team began a targeted daylight attack on the El Burij area as the 5th Brigade launched an attack in eastern Deir el-Balach. The 98th Division also wrapped up its operations in the center of the Gaza Strip this week, after eliminating over 100 terrorists and destroying several tunnels. Amidst all of this operational activity, the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza told the Reuters news agency that Israeli military strikes have killed 66 Palestinians throughout the Gaza Strip in the last 24 hours. Guys, keep in mind that Hamas has a habit of making false reports. It's also important to remember that they do not admit it when their armed fighters are among the dead. When they give casualty figures, they always count their terrorist operatives as unarmed, helpless civilians. Other news from the last 24 hours include a report that Israeli tanks entered deeper into the neighborhoods of El Karara, El Zana, and Beni Suwaili in eastern Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. Residents told Reuters that heavy fighting could be heard in the eastern areas of Khan Yunis, where the IDF is operating, as many of them begin moving away from the battle zones towards the densely populated areas in the El Mawasi and Deir El Balah. In Rafah, near the border with Egypt, IDF forces advanced deeper into the northern parts of the city, where the forces have not yet taken full control. Tanks also shelled several areas in the center of the Gaza Strip. The Reuters news agency published an extensive article on the state of the terrorist organization Hamas and noted that after 9 months, Hamas was greatly weakened by Israel's offensive against it. Hamas carried out a horrific cross-border attack on Israel on October 7th, massacring mostly unarmed women and children. But as soon as they encountered the IDF, they began to lose strength and have suffered significant losses since then. At the beginning of the war, Hamas propaganda videos showed heavily armed terrorists in body armor, wrapped in ammunition belts and other weapons. Now, small groups of terrorists run around wearing t-shirts and mainly carry out hit-and-run attacks in the bombed-out streets of Gaza with whatever weapons they can find. This is according to the videos that Hamas itself published. Beyond that, Hamas's command is fragmented and relies on messages delivered in person to avoid Israeli surveillance. The loss of manpower and the destruction of the communications network, along with much of the tunnel network, means that centralized decision-making has collapsed. According to the report, the warfare tactics employed by Hamas terror squads in recent weeks were simply to ensure the organization's survival with no other long-term strategic objectives. Hamas's arsenal of missiles and rockets, which once stood at between 15,000 and 30,000, has also been greatly depleted. One of the few advantages that they still have is the remaining tunnel network, which allows them to pop out unexpectedly to fire at IDF troops and then dive back underground to try and do the same thing somewhere else. However, each time they do this, they show the IDF the location of another tunnel entrance, and the IDF then moves to shut that tunnel down. According to sources in Hamas, some new tunnels are being dug by hand due to the lack of heavy digging equipment. However, Hamas insisted that despite the losses, its command structure remains in place, even if weakened. Senior Hamas official Sami Abu Zahari told Reuters that Israel's words are exaggerated. The facts on the ground are completely different, according to him. Guys, we know very well not to trust Hamas terrorists when they are telling us information about this war. This war is being fought on multiple fronts, and we need your help in sharing the truth so that everybody will know what is going on and how to pray. So please subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow us on social media so that people will know what is happening in this conflict. Another threat to Israel emerged on Sunday when Turkish President Recep Erdogan made a statement in the middle of a speech to one of the regional councils of his AKP political party in northern Turkey. In the middle of the speech, Erdogan began talking about the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. In this context, he declared, "As we entered Karabakh and Libya, we will do the same in Israel." This was a reference to the deployment of Turkish ships and troops to Libya during that country's civil war several years ago. He was also referencing the deployment of Turkish troops to intervene in the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan several years ago. In both of these deployments, Turkey helped one of the factions in the war against the other faction, but it did not make a big strategic difference in the outcome. In any case, his words were taken as a threat to invade Israel in order to assist Hezbollah, and this led to a sharp backlash by Israeli officials. Foreign Minister Israel Katz posted a picture to X showing Erdogan next to former Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein after he was captured and imprisoned by US-led coalition forces in 2003. The caption of the picture said, "Erdogan is following the path of Saddam Hussein and threatening to attack Israel. Just let him remember what happened there and how it ended." Erdogan was also criticized by some European governments, with one Dutch official even saying that Turkey should be kicked out of NATO. But this is boots on the ground, so let's back away from the diplomatic rhetoric and get back to the facts on the ground. Since the outbreak of the current war, Erdogan has gradually intensified his criticism of Israel and soon returned to his well-established patterns of sharp attacks and violent rhetoric. He even claimed that Hamas is not a terrorist organization, hosted its senior officials in his country, and praised them. Therefore, today, more than ever, it's important to spread the truth. So please share our videos, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram and on YouTube on TBN Israel. Our last story comes from the border between Mexico and the United States. The United States Border Patrol has issued a statement warning that terrorist operatives are coming to Mexico from all over the world and posing as asylum seekers in an attempt to enter the United States. One agent, who agreed to be interviewed on the condition of anonymity, told the New York Post that he and his colleagues do not have the relevant tools to prevent terrorists from crossing the border. According to some reports, the terrorist organizations sending operatives to Mexico so they can try to enter the United States include Palestinian factions. 3 suspected Hamas members were recently arrested by the Border Patrol as they attempted to enter the United States near the city of San Diego, California, because one of them had suspicious pictures and video on his phone. Another man from Turkey was arrested along with them on suspicion of being connected to a terrorist organization. This is a reminder that the war that Israel is waging is a battle between good and evil. But this war is not only being fought here in the Middle East. It can arrive on your doorsteps in the United States or in Europe or anywhere else at any time. Islamic extremism is spreading all over the globe, and that is why it is so important that we will share the truth and pray. So please join us in sharing the truth. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. It helps us a lot. Share our videos on YouTube and follow us on social media. And the most important thing that you can do is unite in prayer. Pray for the Israeli communities that were affected by the Hezbollah attacks. Pray for the civilians that are affected in this conflict on both sides. Pray for the IDF soldiers that are risking their lives every day. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.